my fellow oddities, and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about the best and the worst that live-action Mortal Kombat has to offer in terms of designs. Now, the most popular series on the channel has always been the design ranking videos, where I go through a character's entire history of designs throughout the Mortal Kombat franchise and rank them from worst to best, in my opinion. But that's only ever been for the games. I've never really covered any outside media, and I thought that was kind of unfair because there's a lot of really cool and really not cool designs from things outside of just the mainline games. And so today, we're going to be talking about what the best and worst live-action Mortal Kombat designs have been from the movies and also the Legacy TV show, Season 1 and Season 2. And you might be wondering why I'm not talking about any of the animated things like Scorpion's Revenge, Defenders of the Realm, Journey Begins. I don't even know why I would want to talk about that, but it's there. And that's mostly because all the designs from those things are kind of just ripped straight from the games. There's not really any original designs for the most part. I guess like Snowblind has quite a few, but like other than that, most of it is just pulled straight from the games. And so there's not really any point of talking about them. And I thought live action, it's just a bit more interesting stuff to talk about, since obviously you can't really just pull stuff straight from the games unless it's like CGI. And so yeah, I just thought it would be more interesting to talk about these practical outfits that they actually had to make. And so, without further ado, let's get started with Mortal Kombat 1995. And right off the bat, in record time, we have a controversial take. I think 1995 is super overrated when it comes to its designs. I feel like people are always talking about how accurate it is to the games and how, you know, it gives that classic feel that the classic games had, and like all the character designs are pulled straight from the early arcade era. And I don't really see that at all. Is there a few gems in there? Yeah, for sure. People like Kano, Goro, the ninjas, they all have great designs. But especially if you look at the main trio and even the main villain, it's kind of, dare I say, boring. I mean, just look at Mortal Kombat 2 Liu Kang. He has the bright red headband, the gauntlets, the red leggings, which are super baggy, and it just exudes that Shaolin monk character, and the red just makes it pop a whole lot more. And then you look at the movie and it's just like, it's just whatever, not anything really that stands out. I mean, nothing really screams Shaolin monk, super good fighter. And, you know, at the end of the movie, I will give it credit because he does take off the white tank top that he wears for most of the movie for whatever reason. And he does look like Mortal Kombat 1 Liu Kang, but I don't really like that version of Liu Kang. I prefer Mortal Kombat 2 Liu Kang. And there's not really a scene in this movie or the next movie or anything where this version of Liu Kang wears anything like that, and I think it's kind of disappointing. And then you look at Johnny Cage, a super flashy character who's never had like a specific color or anything associated with him like Liu Kang, but you know, he's worn red, he's worn blue, and he's overall just like a flashy character, but you don't really get any of that with the movie version because he just wears regular clothes. He doesn't even have his signature sunglasses for most of the movies. He wears them for like 2 scenes. His first scene, which pretty sure he only wears them for like a second before taking them off, and then the second scene, which is when he fights Goro, and then he just takes them off again, and Goro crushes them.
Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole.
Sonya Blade is another case. I mean, I much prefer her outfit in this movie compared to the other two. Like, it at least resembles something Sonya would wear and what she would go on to wear within the rest of the games. But, you know, none of that green color that she had in Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 3 hadn't come out yet, I don't think, or it was coming out or something like that by the time this movie released, so I won't give it too much flack for, like, not being accurate to that version. But you had Mortal Kombat 1 there, and I feel like, you know, you could have given her a more accurate design, but Sonya's probably the best out of the 3. Then there's the main villain, Shang Tsung, and, you know, we all love Karasugawa, but let's be honest, this isn't a very accurate design at all. It's just like a leather jacket, and, you know, it has a few of the Shang Tsung colors, you know, yellow, red, sprinkled in there on the jacket, but for the most part, just black leather, and then takes it off at the very end, and then he's just, like, wearing completely black, and, you know, I don't really know why they didn't go with, you know, a more classic sorcerer's robe with the blue and the yellow, stuff like that. Or even what he wore in Mortal Kombat 2, which I've already stated in my design ranking video. I don't really like that design. But, you know, if you're going to go for something that looks like Shang Tsung, I don't really know why you didn't go with something that actually resembles what he's worn in the past games up to that point when the movie came out. Raiden, another example of a character who doesn't really look anything like his game counterpart. And those 5 characters that I just talked about, they're like the main characters of the movie. They're the big 5. You know, the other characters that I talked about earlier having good designs Kano, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Reptile, Goro, they're kind of the side characters. So, technically it balances out because 5 and 5, but when the side characters have better designs than the main characters, there's a difference in balance there. And so I feel like they should have put more effort into like the main character. But by far the worst design, in my opinion, has got to go to Kitana, because she's wearing all black, firstly, and blue is Kitana's main color. I mean, taking away blue from Kitana is like taking away yellow for Scorpion or blue for Sub-Zero. Like, it just doesn't work, and you just shouldn't do that. Like, the entire point of these color swap characters is the fact that they're color swaps. I mean, it's kind of important what the color they are kind of differentiates them from the rest of them, and they just made her black. Super questionable decision making, but, I can get by it if they included anything else from her character, which they don't really do. I mean, she doesn't wear the mask. She doesn't even have her fans, which, technically those are weapons and not her design or outfit, but, like, I'm still gonna count it. Like, the fact that she just doesn't have any fans at all is crazy, and so I'm gonna say the worst design probably goes to Kitana. Now, let's talk about which one's the best, and it's gonna be out of those 5 that I mentioned earlier. Kano, Goro, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, or Reptile. Now, I think when it comes down to it, we gotta go with one of the ninjas, because they are just by far the most accurate. I mean, Kano, yeah, has a pretty accurate design, but at the same time, it's not really accurate to what had come out at the time, but, it kind of inspired later iterations of Kano, so in retrospect, it is accurate, but technically, it isn't really. Also, Goro, his effects are kind of dated, so I'm going to eliminate those 2 and just talk about the 3 main ninjas. And we have Reptile, Sub-Zero, and Scorpion. I'm going to eliminate Reptile because, firstly, his actual design, his reptilian design, sucks. And also the second thing, which is kind of related to that first point, is the fact that I much prefer reptilian Reptile over human Reptile. So the fact that his reptilian design sucks, kind of means that, yeah, he's booted out. So it's between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, of course, as it always is with this franchise. Now, obviously, they're just color swaps, so, this is kind of hard here, because, like, it's literally just a debate of which is my favorite color. But, if we get really down to the fine details, there's some stuff that's different. Scorpion has, like, wide eyes. Sub-Zero, sometimes his mask freezes over, which looks really cool. But I think my main deciding factor here is the fact that Scorpion's spear is not actually like a spear or a kunai or a rope or anything like that. Not even a chain. It's a snake thing. Hell snake thing. I don't care what it is. It's dumb. And so I'm going to give it to Sub-Zero. Also because it's Bihan. I love Bihan. But let's move on to the sequel to this movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Now, just doubling down on the hot take I had earlier, I think that this movie actually has better overall designs than 1995. And it's probably the only thing that this movie has over its predecessor. But, I'm definitely not saying there isn't a few duds in there. Obviously, there's characters like Shao Kahn who have just like awful designs. But for the most part, it's not terrible. Sindel has a pretty good one. It's campy, but at the same time, like, it's pretty accurate as well. So I kind of like it. Characters like the ninjas also have, not my favorite types of ninja designs. I've always said I'm not really a super big fan of like the plates and the superhero-y look, but, it's pretty accurate to the games, and I will admit, it does look pretty cool. Kitana actually has her fans in this movie. She only uses it for like one scene, but, it is what it is. And, characters like Motaro, I mean, the CGI isn't very good, but, like, I like their concept. I wish he was more, like, monstrous in the face instead of just being, like, a regular dude, but, like, not that big of a deal. But I think the obvious winners here for best design has got to be either Smoke or Cyrax. And I like Cyrax more because he has more color. And his scene was cooler as well. Now, when it comes to worst design, obviously we had Shao Kahn earlier, which pretty bad. Now, some of that might be just the physicality of the actor and the fact that, the costume doesn't exactly making him look very imposing. And maybe if it was on a bigger actor or just on a CGI character that was impossibly big for a human to possibly get to, Yeah, maybe that could look a bit better. But, I still feel like it's not the worst design. Raiden also doesn't have a great design, especially when he becomes like the new version of Raiden. That wasn't great. I think the one I have to go to for worst design from Annihilation is going to be one that you guys might not be expecting or might not even know that this character is in the movie, but I'm giving it to Shinnok. Yes, Shinnok is in this movie. He is the father of technically Shao Kahn and Raiden. And yeah, his design isn't anything like how Shinnok looks. Just 0% Shinnok. Like the only slight similarity here is that they're both old. That's it. Yeah, pretty crap Shinnok. But moving on to more crap. Legacy. Now, Legacy Season 1, obviously the new direction of the series was to be, not like super realistic, like Rebirth or anything, but, decently not fantasy. Not Mortal Kombat, basically. And so a lot of designs are very sort of streamlined, more realistic, more practical, and, I can respect that design philosophy, but it's just not my thing. But at the same time, in this first season, nothing stands out as super atrocious. Nothing stands out as super great either. But at the same time, it'd be worse, which we'll talk about in a few minutes after we get done talking about Legacy Season 1. A lot of the Special Forces characters, Sonya, Jax, Kano, I think Stryker might be in Season 1. I don't know if he's only in Season 2. I know he's in Season 2, but he might be in Season 1 as well. Those characters, they all have pretty bland, basic designs, just army gear, SWAT uniforms, stuff like that. It's not really anything too special, but, it's not like awful character design either. Like, it makes sense. But, other characters, Scorpion, he's okay. He's not actually like Scorpion in this series. He's Hanzo Hasashi. And, if you look at it that way, I prefer Hanzo Hasashi to be a bit less threatening, I guess, with the mask and stuff. But, I guess, again, it makes sense. Sub-Zero, not a huge fan of his design either. None of these designs I have super strong passions for. Raiden actually has a pretty bad one because, like, his design is like a psych ward patient, which, if you don't know anything about Legacy, sounds absolutely insane. And then he gets his hat from like some random like Chinese store. It's pretty bad. That might be it, but I don't think so, because we're all forgetting a certain episode where it's the Katana and Melina episode, where firstly Shao Kahn shows up. Shao Kahn, pretty terrible design. Yeah, pretty awful. But then right after, or maybe right before, I don't quite remember. I haven't watched Legacy in a while. But Baraka shows up. And yeah, he looks like an orc from Lord of the Rings. But which design is the best? Ending on a more positive note, well, it's from the last episode, I believe. And I'm saying it's the best solely because it's the only one that resembles anything really Mortal Kombat. And, well, it resembles it pretty well because it's ripped directly from the game. And that is Cyrax's design from the last episode, where they show off the Cyber Lin Kuei, even though it doesn't really matter because in Season 2 they're nowhere to be found. But Cyrax looked pretty good because his design is just taken from Mortal Kombat 9. And that pretty good is relative, by the way, to the rest of Legacy. I don't really even like this design, but compared to the rest of Legacy Season 1, it's pretty good, in my opinion. You might be wondering, what about Sector? And I'm not going to say Sector is number 1, even though technically Cyrax already won the Annihilation one. I'm not going to say Sector is number 1 because for some reason they didn't change his like face mold design, whatever you want to call it, to be like modeled after the Mortal Kombat 9 one. They just like copy and pasted Cyrax, and that looks weird. So Cyrax number 1 for the second time. Cyrax fans, I'm sure you're happy about that. Now we have Legacy Season 2. Oh, let's make this quick. Now with Legacy Season 2, I don't really know how to describe it compared to Season 1 because it's more realistic and grounded and dark, which I hate, but at the same time, it's sillier. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I don't know. Like, the whole thing is just stupid. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just stupid. Now, there are a lot of pretty not great designs, you know. Johnny Cage, pretty boring. Kenshi, no red on Kenshi. It's pretty awful. Scorpion, decent, I guess, from the neck down, but the mask kind of ruins it for me. The Shang Tsung, I really like the actual outfit, but the bald headedness just ruins it. Kung Lao, no, not great. Liu Kang, just no. That's not Liu Kang. In terms of actually like good designs, man, I'm trying to think. You know, the Shang Tsung one might be it. The Scorpion one might be it. It's just the neck up for those two designs, just ruin the whole thing for me. Oh, I guess the ninja ladies, the lady ninjas, the assassin ninja, the Katana and Melina, they had pretty good designs. I think Melina actually had a really good one because I remember it looking kind of like her Mortal Kombat 11 design, and you know that's not like the best Melina design or anything, but you know if it's similar to the games with Legacy, then that's a pretty dang good thing. So I guess yeah, I'll go with Melina, even though she doesn't have the mouth, at least not all the time, and that stupid because Melina should have her mouth, and for whatever reason, people who make these movies, shows, whatever, just refuse to give Melina her classic, iconic demon cotton mouth. Which is weird, but you know, whatever. The rest of the design is better than anything else. In terms of worst, I mean, we got a lot of options, and I mean a lot of options. I mean, we could go with Ermac, yeah. Liu Kang, ugh. Sub-Zero, Sub-Zero with his like headgear motorcycle helmet looking there. It's just so bad. It's just so bad. I think I'm gonna have to go with Sub-Zero actually. You know, like you look at Scorpion, right? And then you look at Sub-Zero, and it's like y'all don't look like you're from anywhere near the same, like even just universe. Like, and you're telling me they're longtime rivals. Sub-Zero looks like he's going for a friggin' airsoft fight or whatever you want to call it. He looks like he's about to go to an airsoft war. And Scorpion looks like an actual like ninja samurai looking thing. Not great either, but still, at least he looks somewhat cool in Mortal Kombat E instead of Sub-Zero. Like, and you know, we're not even gonna get into like the story aspects and stuff like that. They're like, you guys do not want to get me started on that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Sub-Zero for the worst design. So let's talk about something that's actually good, and that is Mortal Kombat 2021. Now this movie got a lot of designs, and for the most part, I think they did a pretty good job. You know, most of it is the casting. I will admit, the casting on this movie was on point, almost 100% accuracy with all the castings. And, you know, there were like a couple maybe slight misfires, but at the same time, I feel like with better directing, better writing, those misfires could have, you know, gone back into somewhat of a decent course. You know, Nathan Jones, Mel Johnson, you know, there weren't like miscast super badly in their roles, but with better direction, they definitely could have been better just overall. But yeah, we're not talking about the casting or how well the characters were. We're talking about the designs. And for the most part, once again, just like the casting, I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, you know, those characters that I mentioned, Natara, Reiko, Melina even, you know, they're not great, obviously. Reptile, you know, I wish he had like the actual ninja attire. Like, I don't mind like super reptilian Reptile. Like, you know, maybe it could work depending on how you make him look just overall. But like him just being naked and looking like a mini Godzilla, I don't really like that. And so, you know, I guess it's between those four for worst. And I mean, I've had to give it to one. I think I would probably give it to Melina. Like, you know, I like CC Stringer, and I think, you know, she could have done a better job. And I think with what she was given, she did a pretty dang good job because she wasn't given a lot. She only has like, I think one line in the entire movie. No, two lines. She has like two or three lines in the entire movie. In the deleted scenes, she's pretty dang good as well, but they just didn't give her enough to work with. And that sucks because it seems like they're rooting her out for the second movie. So, yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Melina. Her design is pretty garbo. I mean, I've been very lenient on this Melina design, but realistically, I shouldn't be because it's pretty not good. I mean, you look at the outfit and it's like all black. And it's like, I like the chainmail, I like the ripped chainmail, but, it doesn't really look or resemble anything like what Melina should wear. And, her not having the mouth again until like the very end sucks. And, not having the mask, like they tried to justify her not wearing a mask by saying the blood on her face is the mask. Well, that's stupid. I'm sorry. I don't like that. And so, yeah, I'm going to say the worst one is Melina, followed by Reiko. I think, I've said this in the past, but I don't think Reiko's design was like horrendously awful. I just think like the acting and his character combined with the design not being like the greatest or anything kind of ruined it a little bit. So, yeah. And then Nitara. Nitara has a fine design. It's just whatever. It's like passable. But we have a lot of options for really, really good designs. I really like Sonya's, but I probably wouldn't put it number one just because, it's not the most exciting. But in terms of Sonya designs, I really, really like this. Kano, not really anything special. Jax, very, very accurate to the games, but like, again, isn't the most exciting design ever. Not really. I mean, the metal arms look pretty cool. I like how they're like, I don't know, they almost seem otherworldly in this movie. Just how they like function and like, I don't know, it feels like all the parts are always moving and shifting, and I kind of like that. But at the same time, I hope for sequels that they kind of simplify it and we get something more classic looking. I don't know. I think that could look pretty cool. I hope in Mortal Kombat 2 they go with a different design for his arms. Like, I don't think the first movie was bad, but, just a switch up would be kind of nice. But then we start getting into the really good stuff. Characters like Liu Kang, who has two designs in this movie, and one of them I don't really like because it's kind of like Ryu, and I don't want people mistaking Ryu for Liu Kang. That happens too often already, and just don't do that. And his other design is really, really good. I really like that one, and I wish that was just his main design, and I wish we got to see that one with the headband. Instead, the only one with the headband was the Ryu one, and that one's lame. Get out of here. And then there's, Scorpion. Scorpion has a pretty good design. I've seen some people criticize it. I don't really know what they're talking about, and I don't think they know what they're talking about. Shang Tsung, another one that gets criticized a lot for whatever reason, but I think it's amazing. The chest plate of souls is awesome. Like, I don't know how you could say that's not awesome. It's awesome. And, like glows and the eyes glow up green, and whenever he's soul sucking someone, it's awesome. And then you have, Sub-Zero, who's another character with a really, really great design. Bi-Han. It's Bi-Han. Look at this mask. Look how cool this mask is. So intimidating. And I love Bi-Han in the movie. And, his design, I think, is a very big contributing factor to why he is so perfect and awesome in Mortal Kombat 2021, along with Joe Taslim's performance, his voice, everything. Let's not go too deep into that rabbit hole, though. But I think the best design, Bi-Han, very close second. But I think the best design, you gotta give it to Kung Lao. Because, they could have just pulled a design straight from the game and, would have worked. But they didn't really do that with Kung Lao. I think the best way to describe Kung Lao's design is just like the perfect way to adapt a costume from a game into a movie. Because they took all of the good Kung Lao designs that have come over the years. Some of them are modern stuff, some of them are classic stuff, some of the stuff in between. And they took all the elements that worked from those designs, added a few tweaks to make it fit to this version of Kung Lao specifically. And then they, made it a bit more practical for the actor to actually wear and to make it look good in real life. And you just get the perfect product out of it. The perfect Kung Lao design for a live action movie. And the only slight criticism I sort of have is the fact that I don't really like the hat being like, I don't know, almost like Captain America's shield. Like, I feel like the hat should feel like a hat and not like this giant piece of metal that like goes around bouncing off objects. It's super heavy and stuff. I want it to just be like a hat that's like more discreet. It's the hat with razors on it. Yeah. And instead of like this giant like shield object just on his head. But you know, that's a nitpick, really. The design is pretty dang awesome. And yeah, that's it, I think, for live action designs. And you know, we got the Mortal Kombat 2 movie coming out very soon. So when that comes out, probably won't do like this. I probably won't redo this whole video again, but I'll probably go through the designs in that movie, maybe rank them worst to best, if that's what you guys want to see. And yeah, with that being said, make sure to check out the links in the description to my Twitter, my Instagram, my Mortal Kombat Retold podcast, and my merch store. Also, make sure to give this video a like so that more people get to see it. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell. And with that being said, that's it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.